Welcome. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living right here in beautiful Fullerton, California. My name is Tomoka Rosas and I'm a practitioner of this beautiful spiritual community. Thank you all for being here. Please join me in stating our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. And let me start with some announcements. Our fall program, 40 Days of Thankful Living, a spiritual journey in cultivating a grateful heart, is ongoing. If you have not picked up the book, the little booklet to follow along, it's right there with the ushers, so please feel free. And by popular demand, our congregational song is back. Yay! It's starting today, and Tommy will lead us through it, and we do have our little nifty little songbook that you could sing out of, and you could take it home with you, or you could just leave it here for next Sunday. So, and Tommy will guide us through. Personal Declaration Booklet for 2023 is available starting today. I don't know if you received your 2022 back yet, but it's a little magical little book, so please feel free to fill it out. And what we do is we drop it off once it's filled out, and we keep it for safekeeping. We pray over it and return it to you next fall. And then also the commitment cards are out as well. Calling all members, please write down your commitment for 2023 so that we could have a clear idea of what we could budget for next year. Let's see, next Sunday is our Thanksgiving celebration and commitment luncheon after service, and this is free for all. Please join us. There's gonna be a lot of food, no matter when, but it's gonna be a lot more food next Sunday. I think there's gonna be a little surprise for everybody who's attending as well, so please join us, and there's a sign-up sheet so we could have a head count for how many to prepare food for. And we continue to collect our food for the Pathways of Hope food pantry. So the box is right by the bookstore, and if you'd like to bring canned food, and also details are in the program, and the list is also in the program. Wednesday evening guided meditation is ongoing at 6 p.m. to 6:30, and that's going to go on till December 7th. So please join us if you can. And new for 2023, CSL accredited class, Spiritual Economics, will be offered on Sundays. This is like the first time we do this. And it's going to go on for 8 months, one Sunday a month. So if you'd like the credit from the home office, please take all 8. Or you could just join one workshop at a time whenever you have time. So please join us for that. And sign up sheet is at the welcome table. And the last thing. Our Unexpected Income Club is doing great, and we are over $17,000. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Let's keep looking for that unexpected income. All right, and that's it for me.
To be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still. Let God love me.
Please join me in prayer. Let's take a moment to tap into the divine that is within. Knowing that the only present here is God. It's pure love that breathes each and every one of us, created us in the image and likeness of itself. For this and for so much more, my heart is overflowing with gratitude. I am thankful and grateful for all the volunteers who make this service possible. There are blessings for the music we so much enjoy and love. Thank you, Tony. I am thankful for the Board of Trustees, whose business is the business of the church. There are blessings for the ushers and the greeters, blessings for the coffee fellowship, for the junior church teachers, blessings for my fellow practitioners, and blessings for Reverend Dr. Bill Salisbury for today's message as we open our hearts and minds to receive it. I know this service is already perfect, and so it is. And my reading is from this book, Live Your Best Spiritual Life, author Reverend Bill. Page 102. Principle is not bound by precedent. I think that's how you pronounce that word.
Precedent.
Precedent. How often in our lives are we told, you will never be able to ... How many times have we turned away from a dream because of our past conditioning? We must remember that if we, rather than focusing on the reasons why something cannot be done, focus instead on why we want to do it, bringing our passion, faith, and intention to it, and refuse to buy into lack and limitation, we might very well accomplish it. There is a saying, principle is not bound by precedent. The genesis of which was probably Thomas Troward from the Edinburgh Lectures, an early discoverer of how the law of the universe creates order rather than allowing for chaos. He held, relying on the maxim that principle is not bound by precedent, we should not limit our expectations of the future. And if our speculations lead us to the conclusion that we have reached a point where we are not only able, but also required by the law of our own being to take a more active part in our personal evolution, and heretofore this discovery will afford us a new outlook upon life and widen our horizon with fresh interest and brightening hopes. We are not our past. Everything that has happened in our past has somehow been for our continued growth and expansion. Everything we have done in the past has been a learning and growing experience. A blueprint for learning. We are not identified by any of our past experiences. All past experiences have contributed to our growth, but we are not frozen in any of them. Moments of love, joy, and beauty have been splendid impetus to seek more of the same. And areas of concern have been waypointers to a better way, but none are permanent. It is an evolving, changing world, and we are evolving, changing parts of it, reborn in every now moment, with the ability to choose who and what we are with no bondage to past experiences. except to learn from them. Indeed, we should not limit our expectations, nor should we allow those who would espouse lack and limitation to influence us in any direction that is not always and only toward that which we desire. We have to become the major influence in our story. All other players are support stuff. If they stop supporting, we can stop listening to them. It used to be that when I heard anything is possible, I would qualify that with a thought like within reason or to a certain extent or something similar. Now, after some years of hearing about and experiencing astonishing things accomplished by way of right thinking and an understanding of the way life works, I posit no qualifiers. In addition to current situations that I see almost daily, bringing good to myself and others, I am also able to take this teaching into the past, mentally and emotionally, and bring good from experiences that cause lack and limitation and heartache when they occur. I am also able to see through the current lens of spirit that some major things in my life that seem so incredibly lucky at the time were manifestations of my belief that I was worthy of the good I wanted and received. I know that anyone who will apply these life principles will also see all past events clearly and see their purpose. Anything is possible. Where once there was skepticism, there is now only certainty. The universe feels our demands upon it. Any situation which we have not yet seen, the good in is not yet fully disclosed. Or it is, and we have not yet understood it. We are, at all times, co-creating our world. When we know this, when we are aware of it, we can create in the direction of our dreams. Naysayers, people with negative attitudes, whose advice is contradictory to our needs, and who are unaware of our and their ability to access that one power, that one presence from which all things come, have not yet reached the potential of their spiritual awareness. Spirituality, immature people continue to believe that life happens to them rather than recognize that life happens through them. Please join me in prayer. There is a beingness and isness, a source of life that all things participate in, a singleness from which all things eternally and infinitely derive. Nothing is outside of this. All things of all ages, of every possible description and configuration, are some part of this one source. It brings great pleasure to know that I share in the same life as all of creation, that the substance and power of God drives and informs all that I am. I know that it's available to the highest reaches of cosmic potential. Is available to me. It is available to all those who recognize and surrender to the direction of the good that is God. it is in this knowing that clarity comes. Clarity of the spiritual purpose of all life to attain to the highest purpose for which it was created. Clarity of the need for keeping a single eye on the oneness of all life and living as a part of the whole in love and cooperation with all other parts. Every event, every circumstance, every situation, and indeed every person impacts the whole, and each is grist for the spiritual mill, even when we don't immediately see it. I know this to be the case, and I allow that knowledge to direct my affairs, such that the lessons of all experiences lead me in life-affirming ways, eventuating in my contribution to the possibility of a world that works for everyone. I am grateful for this knowing and for the opportunity of every experience. And it is with a heart full of gratitude that I release this word, knowing that it is already at work in our world. And so it is. Amen.
You are the heart, you are the hand, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are, and all we do is a blessing to the world.
Tommy Cosentino, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Tommy singing and playing his heart out for us. And thank you so much for that. So, good morning. I am Reverend Bill Salisbury, and I'm happy to be here. And continuing with this month's theme, actually we just started this month's theme, didn't we? The Grateful Heart. The title of today's talk, of course, is Gratitude is Riches, Complaint is Poverty. That's a quote from my very first love. Well, my very second love, if you count my mother, and I do. That's a quote from my first almost romantic love, Doris Day. But she actually got that from the, what's that other, holy cow, Christian Science. From the Christian Science hymnal. And that hymn ended with, true gladness is the treasure that grateful hearts hold. So, yeah, they sing that. See, they have their own hymn book. How about that? Now we have our own back again. So, I like to start usually with a little nugget from Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, and what he has to say about gratitude. And he said this, gratitude is one of the chief graces of human existence and is crowned in heaven with a consciousness of unity. We have to have unity of some sort to some degree, don't we, in order to even have gratitude. because we have to be grateful for or to somebody or something. And you know, somebody once said, I ever tell you about the quoting people? What most of us do. First time we quote somebody, we say, so-and-so said, and then the next time is, somebody said. That's the stage I'm at right now with this. And the next time you hear it from me, it'll be, as I've always said, because that's just the way quotes go. But what it was is that life brings us simple pleasures every day. It's up to me to acknowledge them. It's up to me to look around and see every day, every hour, every moment, speaking of now moments, thank you, Eva, what there is for us to be grateful for. And I just defy us to find a moment in which there's not something to be grateful for. Even in those hard moments. What are we grateful for in the hard moments? We're grateful for the lesson that's coming. We're grateful for the truth that's going to be unfolded before us. We're grateful for the opportunity to go through something, even though it's untoward and it's not something we like, knowing that there's a reason for it and there's a lesson to be had there. You ever heard or used the expression, I'll be happy when, or I'll be grateful when? I'll be grateful when I got something to be grateful for. Hello? You have something to be grateful for, I just got to open my eyes to it, that's all. But when we're looking for some reason to be grateful, are we just chasing shadows? You ever try to catch a shadow? Never had much luck at it myself, but God knows I've tried many times over the years. Starting with that first shadow, Doris Day. You know, sadly she chose an older man over me. I think it has something to do with the fact that at the time of my great romance, I was maybe 8 or 9. She was probably 30. And I think she probably didn't want to wait for me to grow up. Sadly, though, also, I never gave her the opportunity because I never expressed my undying love for her. And isn't gratitude kind of similar to love in that regard? If you don't give it, if you don't express it, if you don't shout it from the hilltops, how's anybody ever know that it's part of you, that you've got it? It's like, we can't make gratitude our best kept secret. And really, when we do that, isn't that kind of like, it's kind of like getting and wrapping a present for somebody, but not giving it to them. Consequently, when that happens, we all pay for that. Somebody doesn't receive the gratitude that they so obviously deserve, and we don't get to realize the full potential of that gratitude within us if we don't give it. So when it comes to gratitude, just like it comes to love and joy and beauty and every other God quality that we're always striving for, we have to put it out there. When we put it out there, what happens? It's coming back. It's coming back. So, from his book, The Spirit of the Upanishads by Yogi Rama Charaka, he says, he's talking about people who know how the law works, who know how life works, who know that there's this power and presence, the one only that gives rise to everything. And he knows also that although that power and presence is always there and everywhere, did I drop down? I walk in harmony, peace, love, and joy, for that is what I am. I'm going to raffle that off later. Where was I? Oh, yeah. He says, the knower and the ignorant, remember, this power and presence is always here and it's always acting. And if we're not using it, if we're not taking it in, if we're not embedding it within us and allowing it to drive and inform our every action, our every thought, our every practice, that's our fault. That's on us. Because it's there. It's available. All we have to do is recognize it and run with it. But sometimes we don't. Yeah, I spent a lot of years not recognizing that power. I spent a lot of years in that, well, if there is a God, where is he? Kind of mode. He sure as hell isn't in my life right this minute, or this wouldn't have happened to me. Not knowing that what I should have been saying was, wow, that hurt. Thank you, God. Because out of this pain is going to come something that I need. Something that's going to improve my position. Something that's going to advance me spiritually and in my human capabilities also. So he's talking about these two. He says, the knower and the ignorant are both equally subject to this law. The knower, all patience, all gratitude, knows no sorrow. The ignorant, ever unsteady, continues to grieve. You ever been there? I'd like to think there's nobody in here that's still grieving over something that happened oh so long ago that we don't even have a current calendar, even in the old scrapbook box, that would take us back to that day. Of two men passing on the road, both being equally fatigued, and the road before them being equal, he that knows treads on patiently to the end. The poor ignorant fool lingers behind, moaning his lot. And sadly, sometimes we have a lot to moan. But we come to be steeped in spirituality. Isn't that what we come for? Isn't that why we do our spiritual practices? Isn't that why we do all the reading and all the meditating and all the affirmative prayer? But spirituality is what happens all day, every day around us. So if we're missing those opportunities to be spiritual beings by observing through our human senses all the good that there is and everything we've been offered, we're missing something. I don't want to miss something. And even though the stuff we don't like happens to us, it happens again, bringing with it a message. I have here a little poem I copied down from Jane Hirschfield. It's titled The Weighing. Because she realizes that not everything that happens to us is something that we would wish for, or something that we would desire, or something we're going to open our arms to, except for that part about opening our arms and our minds and our souls to the lesson involved. She understands that there are things that happen that we're not going to like. And here's what she says, the weighing. So few grains of happiness. Now she's talking about that dark night of the soul. She's talking about when we're in the throes of something untoward, when we are at our wit's end. You know, in the kitchen here, on the refrigerator, there's a little sign that says, a little magnet, you know, those little magnets. It says, God is everywhere, even at your wit's end. And she's kind of addressing that right here when she says, so few grains of happiness, measured against all the dark, and still the scales balance. The world asks of us only the strength we have, and we give it. Then it asks more, and we give it. So even in times when things look a little bit bleak, all right, even in times when things look a lot bleak, there's something there for us. We're not still laboring under those end of the world scenarios that we had a year ago, 2 years ago, 20 years ago. We're not. They go by. This is a transitory life. There's nothing that gets concretized and that is with us forever and always. That's the good as well as the bad. So we don't want to get dragged down by the bad things that happen. But on the other hand, when the good things happen, we say thank you for them, just like we said thank you for the other things. And then we understand that that was then. The very moment that anything happens to me, good, bad, or indifferent, the very moment it happened, I get an opportunity to appreciate it and be grateful for it. And the very next second, it's already in the past. It's already history. What's that saying? Don't rest on your laurels. Or I think it was, if you're resting on your laurels, you're wearing them in the wrong place. Something like that. So we don't want to bog down in misery, but we don't want to rest on our laurels either. We have to take each moment for what it is, for what it represents, for what it offers, and then move forward with that knowledge, with that learning, with that new understanding into that higher and better self that we're always elevating into. Eckhart Tolle, the author of The Power of Now, New Earth, he said, most people's lives are run by desire and fear. Desire is the need to add something to yourself in order to be yourself more fully. All fear is the fear of losing something and thereby becoming diminished and being less. These two movements obscure the fact that being, capital B, cannot be given or taken away. Being in its fullness is already within you now. It's already within each and every one of us. And sometimes, don't we say, well, I'm waiting for something sacred to happen. I'm waiting for that sacred space. I'm waiting for that divine moment. I'm waiting for that God opportunity. We don't have to look. I don't know how we ever got in this situation of where we separated the sacred, if you will, from the profane, from the mundane, from the everyday, ordinary thing. Because our life is made up of these everyday moments, isn't it? And more importantly, it's made up of what we do with those everyday moments. And what we do from the learning and the understanding and the lesson that we get from each one of them. Again, good, bad, or indifferent. There was an old guy back in the day, Ralph Waldo Trine, said, rowing against the tide is hard and uncertain. To go with the tide and thus take advantage of the workings of the great natural force is safe and easy. And he's not talking about going with the flow as in everybody's doing it, or this is what my church says, this is what my philosophy says. Remember, none of that is absolute. Nothing anybody is ever going to tell us, or nothing we're ever going to read, is going to be the absolute truth of who we are. It can't be until we get I involved, till we get me involved. You know that Those two words, I am, that we're always talking about. And Moses says, who do I say sent me? I am. Those are the two words, and we use them all the time. And we use them sometimes so very inappropriately. You've heard of old-time religion, probably even current-day religion. Blasphemous. That's blasphemy. Here's what's blasphemy. Blasphemy is using those words, I am, and then putting anything negative or derogatory after it. Because what I am is, I am a direct descendant made totally and completely and only of God's substance, God parts, powered by God energy. So if I'm saying I am something, anything less than that, it's not so. However, we do know we can talk ourselves into believing all kinds of nonsense, can't we? I can talk myself into believing I'm not enough. I can talk myself into believing I live in poverty. I've lived in poverty. And you know what? I could never reconcile how I could be living in poverty and yet be a happy kid. Because the one doesn't have anything to do with the other. When you're talking about material wealth, it doesn't have anything to do with riches. It doesn't have anything to do with happiness. Can you be happy and filthy rich? I think we talked about this. Of course you can. You can also be poor and filthy rich. If the richness we're talking about is happiness. But we can't be any of that without gratitude. Here's how the universe works. If I'm not grateful for what I have, it's probably not going to trust me with anything else. If I can't be grateful for the little things, I'm not going to be grateful for the big things. So it's not, I'll be grateful when, or wait until. It's, I'm going to be grateful right now. Remember the Einstein thing, it's all a frequency. Match the frequency of what you want, and you can't help but get it. Because it's all vibration. Physicists know today that everything we see is vibration. I don't want to say it's not real, because if I stub my knee on that chair, I'm going to feel it, and it's going to be just about as real as you can get. But still, the vibration of the physical world is just that it's such a slow vibration, it doesn't appear to be changing. The vibration of the spiritual world is at a much higher level. I have to raise my vibration to get up there, and once I raise my vibration and get up there, then that law of attraction comes in, and everything I could possibly want's coming to me. I don't have to ask for it. I don't have to petition some God out there somewhere to bring me something, because that isn't going to happen. Because when we're asking or wishing or begging or petitioning for something, what are we in essence doing? We're declaring a lack of that. And there is no lack of anything. If there's a lack of anything in my life, it's because I haven't accepted it, and I haven't recognized it, and I haven't been grateful for it, and I have been promoting that. So if I'm sending this vibration out to the universe at that frequency of lack that's way down here, one thing about the life principle, one thing about spirit, one thing about the law of the universe, if I ask for it, I'm going to get it. If my thoughts and my actions and my emotions and my attention and intention are on lack, I'm going to get all of that I can handle. It's coming at me by the boatload. So I say to myself, self, if what you put your attention on and where you place your intention and what you think about and what you declare yourself to be is enough and more, and what I see is the abundance of all things around me, and I'm going to get more of that, why would I insist on staying down in this lower vibration, talking about what I don't have? Because if I don't have something, it's probably a good reason for it, and it probably has something to do with me. I don't have more thing I want to read here. Because when we put out that vibration, here's the thing about that lovely spiritual law. It doesn't differentiate between what we call good things and what we call bad things. It just doesn't. All it knows is, if I continue to demand something of it, it's going to give it to me. So why would I continue to demand something of a low vibration when I could demand and receive all things in the higher vibration? You're the master teacher Jesus said, I did not come to like overthrow the law and the prophet and the prophets. I came to fulfill the law and the prophet. Which meant, look at what I'm doing. Look at what I'm thinking. Look at how I give thanks before I do anything in the world. I give thanks, and it's that thanks, it's that gratitude, and that feeling that I have of that divinity embodied within me that guarantees I'm going to have the result I want. So, really, what he was asking us to do was not to worship him for what he could do, but to put on that Christ consciousness for ourselves. Of course, in our culture, we have this hero worship thing going on, so to worship, that's not a bad thing. Just keeping in mind, like what he said, these things and more ye shall do. Put on the same consciousness that I have. Put the consciousness of the Christ on, and your world will look so much better, so fast. It'll just make your head spin. As long as we don't let other people talk us out of it. I have that capability. Sometimes I'll just be going off on how great life is, and somebody will be there trying to talk me out of it. And if I let that happen, all I've done is I've lowered my vibration, and I have left that spiritual realm where I so like to be and come back into this not enoughness. And then I start putting all the wrong words after I am. There's that saying, remember, that we pull out, dust off every once in a while about the cup being half empty and half full, when really that shouldn't even be our concern at all. We should just be grateful that we have that cup to begin with. And then the level to which it gets filled is totally and completely up to me. Totally and completely. If my cup is not to the brim, I've done something wrong. I've let something go. I've left a spiritual practice behind that could have aided me in filling that cup to the brim. But even when that happens, because it does happen, we're only human, I'm still grateful just to have the cup. So let's just take this into prayer, and let's just know this, that gratitude is something that is not only ours by divine right, it's not only gifted to us, but it's our responsibility to keep it in play, to pass it out in the world. Just remember that somebody right now in the world is wishing and hoping for a marvelous life kind of like the life I might be complaining about once in a while. Knowing that all things are available to me. Material things, spiritual things, intellectual things, everything I could ever desire is mine as long as I expect it, as long as I keep my thoughts on it, as long as I demand it from the universe and don't settle for anything less. I'm a child of God, as each of us is. We have been guaranteed everything we could ever possibly want in this human existence. We were guaranteed that from the time our soul entered into this God substance that makes up our body. And it's knowing that, and knowing that the world is literally and figuratively at our beck and call. As long as we embody that law and use it in the right fashion and recognize it as being the wealth that it is, everything comes to us. So it's with grateful heart I just acknowledge this. I just say thank you, God, for this. And I just let this word into that universal law, that spiritual law that only knows to say yes to everything demanded of it. I just let it go. And together we say, so it is. Let's just know that this is our opportunity to share our abundance. We know that all of our good comes from that one source, God, and for this we are eternally grateful. And let me just take a second to say thank you for this support, because it is that sustains this Fullerton Center for Spiritual Living. And for those of you who are not in the sanctuary yet, but watching from afar, thank you also. We know that hitting that donate button or mailing in or coming by and seeing Tomoko during the week is a great thing to have happen. So thank you very much.
When I smile, it's the joy overflowing from you. When I smile, it's the joy overflowing from you. What can I say? How can I thank you for the day? Oh God, my blessings are overflowing now. When I cry, it's the love overflowing from you. I cry, it's the love overflowing from you. What can I say? How can I thank you for the day? Oh God, my blessings are overflowing now. No words, no words. You're the sacred truth in everything I see and everything I'll ever do. I sing, it's the song overflowing, it's a song overflowing from blessings are overflowing. My blessings are overflowing. My blessings are overflowing.
Wow. Let's show some of that gratitude. Tommy Cosentino. That was huge. Let's have everybody get up. And let's just know something together. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called gratitude.
It's this thing called gratitude.
It's this thing called love.
It's this thing called love.
I know it.
I know it.
I think it.
I think it.
I accept it.
I accept it.
I express it.
I express it.
Thank you, God, in me.